Hi people, welcome to this live webinar right here on YouTube. It's evening here in Tokyo, Japan. As you can see by my backdrop, very authentic. Well, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully you like this new format. What do you think? Let me know in the chat box whether you like this format. Set up my studio to make it look better for you. But today is all about the content, and we're talking about the 4-hour work week. We're talking about how you can implement some of these lessons to improve your business. We're going to talk about the key lessons from the book. So thank you so much for joining me today. What this is going to be is a 30-minute webinar. I'm going to share with you the key insights from the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I'm going to show you also how you can download this presentation from today. And if you want to ask me any questions, you can put it right here in the chat box, right here live on YouTube. So how about that? Let's get going. So let's start at the top, the 4-Hour Workweek. Now, this is a book that bills itself, how to escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere and join the new rich. And it's been one of the most influential books of its generation. There's a lot of content in here. There's a lot of noise in this book. So what I'm going to do today is distill this down and serve you up the key lessons, the key messages from the 4-Hour Work Week. And if you like that, I'm going to show you how you can get the presentation free. If you stick around to the end of this webinar, I'll show you where you can download the slides that I'm using right here. So you can take away and review the key messages from the 4-Hour Workweek. Whether you've read the book or you haven't read the book, you'll find this presentation useful as a review. Would be interesting to hear your feedback as well. If you have read the book or if you're planning to read the book, let me know in the chat box. So let's get going. Here's the man himself, Tim Ferriss. Now, you've probably heard of Tim Ferriss. He's all over the place. Friends, people like Arnie Schwarzenegger. He has very good friends in high places. Hence, if you saw my review recently of his latest book, Tools of Titans, you'll know that he knows pretty much everybody and anybody in the world of investment or performance, whatever it may be. And he's learned a lot in the process. And he's really sort of, I suppose, defined a generation of entrepreneurs. And really what I want to do today is help share some of those stories and the key messages from what he was trying to get across in the 4-Hour Workweek. And the key messages, because it's a message that resonates through all of the books that he's done. And these are the 3 books before Tools of Titans. You've got the 4-Hour Body, the 4-Hour Workweek, and the 4-Hour Chef. And looking from the titles, you might be thinking, well, this is about time management, which it absolutely isn't. It's all about how to be really effective. It's all about doing the minimum possible and getting the maximum possible results. Whether that applies to business, life, as in the 4-Hour Workweek, or whether it applies to health and fitness, as in the 4-Hour Body, or whether it applies to lifestyle, as in the 4-Hour Chef. It's all about identifying what really works and eliminating the noise from your life. And that really is a process. There's a science behind it. And I'd like to share some of those tips and tricks with you today in this presentation. And what I do is I share these lessons in my Entrepreneur Upgrade course as well. You know, what I intend to do is distill these lessons down and share the key messages from people like Tim Ferriss, as well as a lot of other really influential business minds, people who have really shaped the lifestyle entrepreneur movement in my course, the Entrepreneur Upgrade. The link is there, upschool.io/p/4HW. 4-Hour Workweek. That's going to come up again because you're going to use this link if you want to get some free resources and get the presentation from today. I'm going to show you how you can download all of that. So what I'm going to share with you today is a presentation about the 4-Hour Workweek. And for those of you that are Entrepreneur Upgrade members on my course, you can get access to this video. Afterwards, I'll put that onto the Entrepreneur Upgrade course platform, as well as the presentation and some worksheets that I'm going to share with you today as well to make the whole building a lifestyle business a lot easier for you. So let's dig into the 4-hour work week. Let's get started. So where do we start with the 4-hour work week? Let's break it down. What is the key message in Tim Ferriss's book? And it's this acronym, DEAL, D-E-A-L. What does it stand for? It stands for define, eliminate, automate, and liberate. These are the 4 steps within the 4-hour work week that you need to follow if you want to achieve the things that he sets out as a promise that you can achieve in this book, which is escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. And it absolutely is possible. To give you a flavor of what's possible, in 2012, 5 years ago, I exited a business and spent, the last 5 years traveling the world with my family. So, we traveled to New Zealand. We lived in New Zealand. We traveled to Fiji, Hawaii. We traveled to California and Florida. We lived in Cyprus. We lived in the Canary Islands, Lanzarote and Fuerteventura of Africa. We lived in Okinawa out in the East China Sea. We're right here, right now, living in Japan, south of Tokyo, in between Tokyo and Mount Fuji. So we've been traveling for 5 years and really enjoying a full life of adventure and experience. And much of that is due to the lessons that are in the 4-hour work week. And I'll share those with you today. So it is absolutely possible. This is not just bullshit. This is not just, selling a dream that doesn't exist. You can actually make this happen. And I have made it happen. So I want to share with you my insights as well, because I think that the 4-hour work week, there's a lot of information in this book. So you have to focus on really what works and eliminate what doesn't work within the book in itself, which is applying the 4-hour work week strategy to the 4-hour book as well. So, don't read it cover to cover. Go in, get the key information out of it, and do what you will with that information. So that's what I want to share with you today to save you a little bit of time in putting together your lifestyle business. So let's start at the top. Definition. What does Tim Ferriss mean by definition? And it really is about defining success. And here's the really interesting thing. One of the key messages in the whole book of the 4-hour work week is that reality is negotiable. And what Tim Ferriss means by that is that success is not a monolithic story. What do I mean by that? So there's a very traditional view of success, which is leave college, get a good job, work hard, work your way up the career structure, get more qualifications, get more responsibility, a bigger salary, a bigger car, a bigger house, etc., etc. And the goal of this reality, the goal is to pay off your mortgage. That is what people call financial independence. And to get to your retirement alive. Because a lot of people don't. Or they're not healthy enough by the time that they retire. Or the reality is today that a lot of people aren't even able to retire. So the key here is to redefine success, because the success that's mapped out for us, the success story that is told through the media, the success story that is told through all the books out there, isn't the only one available. So the 4-hour work week is really about introducing a new way of defining success. And it's really important to know, if you're a lifestyle entrepreneur, that success is a story that you can tell. So you can define your own version of success, and it doesn't matter what other people say. There's not just one version of success. So if success for you is to be happy and to be in control of your time and to be healthy and to spend time with the people that count in your life, your loved ones or your family or your friends, or to have experiences and travel the world, or to have adventures and take risks, then you can have that version of success if only you define it first and not chase after the mainstream version of success and hope that you can use that and shoehorn it into your version of success, because that won't ever happen. The myth that we have, the big belief that we have as mainstream middle class professionals is that if we work harder, if we get more money, we will become more financially free. And that absolutely isn't the case. Nobody ever became financially free paying off the mortgage. Nobody ever became financially free by getting a bigger salary. The only way you can do it is to own your own business and define success on your own terms. So the one way that Tim Ferriss does this, and you can get all this information from Tim Ferriss's website, is what he calls dreamlining. And dreamlining is effectively this. It's basically mapping out. It's basically designing. It's basically sketching out your version of success. And to give you an example, I've actually done this. I'll just drag this. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if this is going to come out with the green screen, but this is what I did with my family a week and a half ago. So there's like an A3, A2 sheet of paper. We sat down and we mapped out what our version of success would be. We basically said, look, what do we want to be doing in a year's time as a family? So me, my wife, and my son. And we sat down and we sketched it out and we drew, the three of us got together, over dinner, and we drew the plan and tried to visualize that plan together. And that's what Tim Ferriss calls dreamlining. And you can do this. You don't need to have the Dreamline worksheet, but you can just simply sit down with a piece of paper or a notepad and pen, or even your Evernote planner. But I suggest it's so much better to actually do it in the analog format and to write this out on a piece of paper, because there's something about physically getting this out into the real world rather than keeping it on a smartphone or a laptop. To put it onto the paper and to sketch out your definition of success, because if you don't define it, somebody else is going to define it for you. And if somebody else defines your version of success for you, I guarantee it won't be a happier version of success. So there's so much to be said for actually sketching out your version of what you want in life. And it can be the material things. I know there's a lot of attention paid to, having this car and having this house. But as lifestyle entrepreneurs, I think that we want a lot more than that. We want experiences. We want things that aren't necessarily things. We want to have, freedom and control. So it's important that we write this down, because what that does is it then tells our subconscious that this is the reality that we want to create for ourselves. And this is what we're defining for ourselves. And what I'm going to do, and I know you can't see all the details of the Dreamline worksheet here on the screen. You can get this from Tim Ferriss's website, or you can get it from my Entrepreneur Upgrade course, because what I'll do is I'll upload the worksheets from today. There's a Dreamline PDF and an Excel spreadsheet which you can work through to Dreamline yourself. And then what I recommend is you get a piece of paper and you actually sketch this stuff out. So I'll put this on the Entrepreneur Upgrade course for you. If you're an existing member, you can go and get it straight after this webinar. If you're watching this archive and you're interested in getting hold of these worksheets, as I said, you can go and get these from Tim Ferriss's website, or you can get them from me. They're free. So the second step is elimination. This is really key, because one of the mistakes that we make as entrepreneurs is thinking that we can become more successful by working harder. And this is absolute rubbish. One of the things I hear entrepreneurs say, and this is a sign that they're going down the wrong path for trying to become more productive. And they ask themselves this question: how can I sleep less? Because what's happened is they've maxed out the number of hours that they have during the day. They're working 16, 17, even 18 hours a day in some cases. And the only way they can then increase their productivity is by eating into those sleeping hours. So they want to work 20 hours a day and sleep 4 hours a day. And there's plenty. You can go online and see all this information about how you can sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. But ultimately, it's, a quick path to an early grave. And rather than work harder, it's so much more effective to work less but be more focused. And as Tim Ferriss says, doing something unimportant well does not make it important. And we as entrepreneurs do very well at doing unimportant things. Things like, for example, spending a lot of time on social media, building Twitter followings, all that kind of stuff. Spending a lot of time on research when you don't need to be researching, you need to be launching. The key is to focus on what works. And in the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss spends a lot of time talking about 80-20. And you may be well aware of the Pareto principle already, which is that 20% of your activity produces 80% of your results. Now, here's my challenge to you. If you were to go through what you do during a week, whether that is a meeting or, making phone calls or creating some kind of content, and list all this stuff out during the week, I guarantee that if you listed out 20 tasks that you perform on a regular basis during a week, 20% of those tasks will produce 80% of your value. It's a natural law. No matter how you look at it, it always seems to be the case. If not, 10% produces 90% of the value. So the key here is, with that knowledge, what do you do with it? Well, what I suggest is one of the exercises you can do after this webinar is to write down what you do on a regular basis and work out within that day, where do you create the key value? And I suggest to you that the key value is created in a number of ways. Often, like one meeting, one phone call, or one piece of content. That's your real high value task. And then everything else around that high value task is often fluff. It's low value stuff. And this is the stuff that you can automate, which we'll come to in a minute. Or you can simply eliminate it entirely. So people say, no, I need to keep busy. I need to be doing this stuff. But it's a fool's paradise. You're spinning plates. You're keeping yourself busy because you have the comfort of feeling busy. You're no longer in the world of the salaried employee. As an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter how much activity you make. All it does is matter what kind of results you're getting. Nobody's looking at you and thinking, well, he or she's not very busy today. All matters is whether you're producing results or not. So one of the lessons from the 4-Hour Workweek is this: don't be afraid to be not busy. And this is one of the things that I've discovered as an entrepreneur is actually I probably work a bit less than the average entrepreneur, and often quite a lot less. Some days I'll work 2 or 3 hours, some days I work 4 hours, some days 1 hour, some days I can work 10 hours. Most entrepreneurs that I know, especially younger entrepreneurs, will be working 12, 14-hour days, but I'm far more productive than them, and I'm making much more money than they are because I know where to put that productivity. And this is one thing I'll talk about in the automation side coming up, about why you need to invest in pipelines rather than constantly carrying buckets as a business model. We'll come to that in a minute because this is a really key message about how to grow. And it's not just from Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek, but as an entrepreneur, how do you grow? You don't grow by simply working harder or doing more. You have to take things back, understand what works, what doesn't work, and say no. Well, this is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur, and it's reflected in the 4-Hour Workweek. So Tim Ferriss has really reinforced this, is that you have to say no to grow. I think entrepreneurs think that, by saying yes to everything, every opportunity, every customer, every business out there, every piece of activity, that they will grow. But ultimately, real growth comes from saying no to opportunities. So saying, I'm not going to work for that customer. I'm not going to go to that meeting. I'm not going to go to that event. I'm not going to publish that content. Because once you say no to an activity, then effectively what you're doing is you're saying yes to something else. You're creating more space for yourself to focus on that bigger yes. That's something that really means something to you. Because by saying yes to everything, what you're doing is democratically assigning your time to all these different tasks. So the tasks that make the most value only ever get the same amount of time and resources as everything else. So you can never become better as an entrepreneur in that context. So this also applies to people. And this is tough, right? As entrepreneurs, if I was to say that this also applies to people, because what I'm effectively saying is that some people in your life, are not necessarily good for your business, right? And this is tough because as entrepreneurs, we grow up around friends and we grow up around family, and we don't like to push people away. We don't like to leave people. We don't like to upset people. But if you want to become successful, one of the tough lessons that you have to learn, and one of the things that I've had to learn the hard way, is you have to say goodbye to people in your life that hold you back. And I'm not just talking about people who may be time wasters, but people who may have certain expectations about you that may be holding you back. So, for example, if you start growing as an entrepreneur and you start becoming successful, there may be certain kind of jealousy within the people around you. And then, people may start saying things about what you're doing, like, oh, I preferred you when you were back working here, or that kind of thing. They may not openly criticize what you were doing, but inside they may be eating their heart out, waiting for you to fail. If those kind of people exist in your life, then you have to let those people go because they are poisonous for your ambitions. If you want to achieve what you want to achieve, you want to follow your dreams, design the life that you want, these people will hold you back because they don't want you to be successful. Because you're successful, they're going to look at themselves and say, why the hell wasn't I successful? So a bit of advice here is be difficult. Tim Ferriss says it's much easier to get a reputation for being difficult. Difficult to reach, difficult to contact, difficult to get a meeting with, than it is to be the person who commits to everything and then flakes out. So don't go to meetings, don't watch TV, and do something every day that scares you. That's a thought to think about for tomorrow. So the third part, automation. This is really about building systems. So there's two aspects to this in terms of building systems. The first one is marketing systems. So how do you build your business so you can automate your business, take yourself out of the business so the business can run itself? And then also taking this forward, this is not covered in the 4-Hour Workweek, but I want to apply the ideas from 4-Hour Workweek into the whole lifestyle entrepreneur methodology, which is building a lifestyle business and investing your cash flow into an asset investment business. And that's really about how to create financial freedom through automation. And this is my model. It works. I've proven that it works. It doesn't give you financial freedom within a year or 2 years. It takes 5, 7, 10 years. But you've got far more chance of becoming financially free if you do this rather than trying to build a business and sell it. Because the chances of building a business and selling it are very, very small. But if you were to build a lifestyle business, invest the cash flow from a lifestyle business into an investment business based on assets, then your chances of becoming financially free within 10 years are very good indeed. And I go into a bit more detail about this in the Entrepreneur Upgrade course. And this is a thought echoed by Warren Buffett. Now, whatever you can say about the man, he knows how to make money, right? There's no doubt about that. He knows money better than all of us, right? And he says that if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Let's think about that for a minute. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So, what's the problem here? Most people don't know how to make money while they sleep. What do I mean by that? Most people can only make money whilst they're awake. Most people can only make money through the hours that they put in. And this would apply if you are a salaried employee, or you are a freelancer, or you are running a business which is completely dependent on the number of hours that you work. And if that's the case, no matter which of those you are, you're going to work until you die. Whether you like it or not, you don't have the choice, right? And that's what it's all about, choice. You may be passionate about your work, but you may not. If you don't have the choice, then you're going to have to be working yourself into your grave. And that is not a good way to end your life, right? That's not a good way to go when you should be enjoying yourself. So the key is finding a way to make money while you sleep. And one of my mantras is make money while you sleep. If you can work out how to make money whilst you sleep, you can generate wealth. Because the limiting factor for all of us, and nobody has yet discovered a solution to this, is there's only ever one of you and you only ever have 24 hours in a day. Okay? If you can solve that problem, then you'll be the next trillionaire. But for everybody else, we are left with that lack of resource. One of us, 24 hours in a day. So how do you solve that? Now, the key to doing that is to make money whilst you sleep. Create an automated business and create passive income streams. So let's talk a little bit about that. You know, if you want to start with the easiest step to create an automated business is build your newsletter. If you don't have a newsletter, set up a newsletter. I don't care what stage of business you're at, whether you started your business or whether you're well into your business, you need a newsletter and you need to get everybody onto your newsletter, because the newsletter for you can be a way to make money whilst you sleep. If you tell me that newsletters don't sell, don't work, and it's all about social media, you don't have a clue how effective newsletters are, because I can guarantee, I had this thought before newsletters. I thought it was all about Facebook and video and so on, but newsletters are by far the most effective way to sell. And there's a number of reasons for that I won't go into in this video, in this lesson. You can go to the Entrepreneur Upgrade course and get all the information about newsletters and how they work there. The key here is you need a newsletter, and every single interaction that you're going to have. So if you go to a meetup, if you post something on social media, if you meet somebody, if you give away an ebook, what I want you to do is drive people to your newsletter. Get people onto your newsletter. Automate your newsletter. And when people are automated on your newsletter, you could be selling to people whilst you're sleeping. You don't have to be sleeping. You could be watching a webinar. You could be presenting a webinar. You could be sitting on a beach in Thailand, whatever it is. But if you can create that automated business, you've already bypassed that limitation. You've broken through that ceiling of only ever having one of you in 24 hours a day. And I tell you, there's nothing better than waking up in the morning and checking your email and finding emails coming in telling you that people have bought your products. Now, that is how to create wealth. So that's one way to create wealth within your business, by creating an automated business. And the key to this is building a funnel. And funnels are effectively a way of taking people who visit your site through a journey, building trust and dialogue with that visitor until they become a customer. And then when they become a customer, upselling to them so they buy more from you, and eventually turning them into fans. And the big mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is trying to constantly sell to new people. But if you want to grow a business, and if you want to, as Tim Ferriss says, escape the 9-to-5 and live the life of your dreams, a key tool in doing that, achieving that, is to have a funnel. So a funnel could really start with a newsletter. Somebody comes to your website, somebody signs up to something, they go onto your newsletter, you automate that process, you sell a small product to them that could be $5, $7, $10. It's called a tripwire product. Then what happens is they buy that product, and then they take what's called a profit optimizer product, which is a much more valuable product. Because once somebody buys something from you, they're far more likely to buy something again. So you can then sell something that's worth $100, $150, $1,000, whatever it might be. And once they're then at that stage, they become fans of your business. And that is a way of creating wealth through an automated process, because what's happening is you're not actually manually doing any of this. You're automating the whole process, and you're taking your customers through this process step by step. I talk a bit more about funnels in the Entrepreneur Upgrade course, but there you go. That's what they're about, just to introduce them to you. Newsletter, funnel, and the third thing in terms of automation is asset. So you create a business that's successful, you create cash flow in this business. The next step really is to use that cash flow. And the best way to do that is to invest in assets. And this is a whole subject on its own, a whole new subject entirely, which, I can't go into detail too much about this in this webinar in the time that we have, but just get your cash flow and invest it into an investment vehicle. I'm a big fan of real estate. That's how I became financially independent, through real estate. People say to me, oh, real estate doesn't work in my market. Absolute rubbish. If you're renting a place from your landlord, you're paying off your landlord's mortgage. If you're buying a place, you're part of a property market. There is an existing property market in your city, your country. There are always opportunities. There are always people who want to rent. There are always opportunities to create wealth through real estate. Look at it over time, over hundreds of years, over thousands of years. People have made money through real estate. Yes, it may go up and down in the next 2, 5, 7 years, but in the long term, and this is what it's about how you're going to create financial independence in the 10-year plus time frame. Real estate is the most reliable and I think the best investment out there. I'm not going to advise you about any kind of investments because it's not my role to do that. All I'd say is that, if you start creating a business, you start creating cash flow, start educating yourself about assets and real estate, because, once you start understanding how that industry works and you understanding what the opportunities are, then you'll see that that is one of the best ways to create wealth long term. So let's move on to the final part of the 4-hour work week, which is liberation, which is really about living the lifestyle that you dream about. So Tim Ferriss says, think big. Don't listen to people who tell you it can't be done. Life's too short to think small. So like me, I traveled the world 5 years with my family. I lived, on tropical islands, paradise islands. It was a dream lifestyle and I'm still living it. I have plans. We have plans to move on to our next adventure next year. The adventure doesn't stop. We're designing this life that we want. And you got to think big. You've got to surround yourself with people who also think on that level. If you're surrounded by people who, their next thing is to get a better car or to extend the house, or they're talking about getting a promotion in the office or all that kind of thing. You are going to surround yourself with people who are going to limit your expectations. These people don't think big. They think within the confines of the lifestyle that's been designed for them. And the only way that they can prove their lifestyle is to be picked by somebody else. That means whether, the boss promotes them, or the boss gives them a pay rise, or somebody recruits them to a better job. It all depends on somebody else, right? But if you surround yourself with people who pick themselves, choose themselves, that is the key to liberation, because then you accept that you can do anything that you want and you don't have to rely on somebody else to make your life better. You can go out and do it yourself. And the starting point for all of this is this question: what if? So I have to warn you, this is a very dangerous question to ask. But if you want to design your life, if you want to be a successful lifestyle entrepreneur, if you want all those things that we talked about earlier on in this webinar, you have to step outside your comfort zone and ask this question: what if? So let's say you designed a business, and as a result of that business, you didn't need to live in New York. And you didn't need to live in New York because now you have customers all over the world, maybe even all over America. So you don't need to live in New York to commute every day to the center of town to work in a busy place and spend money on an expensive office. So because you don't need to do all that and you can work from home, you could move somewhere where the lifestyle's a heck of a lot better. What if you moved to somewhere else? Well, it wasn't New York, somewhere cheaper. What if you moved to the southwest of California or to wherever it may be? What if you move to a different country? And then you start finding what happens is the whole thing starts unraveling. Well, if you don't need to live in New York, do you need to live in the US? What if you could live in Thailand? So people start asking these what if questions and things start falling apart beautifully. What starts happening is they realize that actually, the whole lifestyle that you've built is built around this need to be in a place where lots of other people are, so you can get work because that's where the offices are. And that's an expensive lifestyle because you need to get an apartment in the center of town. You spend 2 hours a day commuting. You need to spend all this money on office clothes and going out drinking with colleagues and all that kind of stuff, right? And then you have this thing where you have to go on 2 weeks vacation a year just to escape all this bullshit, right? But what if you didn't need any of that? And when you go to places like Thailand, and I spent time in places like Chiang Mai, and I've been to places like Ubud in Bali, and I've been to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. And what happens is you discover, and not just in Asia, by the way, this is happening in the Canary Islands, in Gran Canaria of Spain, in Budapest in Hungary, in Medellin in Colombia. You discover there's a whole generation of entrepreneurs out there who've asked this question, what if? What if you could live and work anywhere in the world? Because once you start asking that question, you start looking at things differently. You start realizing, actually, I don't need to be here. I don't need to be here to make money, because let's say it costs you $4,000 a month in expenses to live in this city. You then have to earn a salary of at least $8,000 a month, because once you take taxes out and living expenses to break even, and you're only just breaking even. So you're spending $4,000, you're earning $8,000, and you're working like crazy to earn $100,000 a month, $100,000 a year, right? But what if you didn't have to spend $4,000 a year and you only had to spend $4,000 a month? You only had to spend $1,000 a month. Well, then you don't have to earn $100,000 a year. You could earn a lot less and be a lot less stressed. And you could have a place by the beach, so you didn't have to go on holiday or vacation 2 weeks a year, and that cost money as well. You didn't have to spend all this money on commuting and a car and so on. So once you start asking what if, the whole thing falls apart. But you've got to be prepared for that. And I think this is the most difficult thing about the whole lifestyle design philosophy. Is that, yeah, people want to have freedom and people want to have all that stuff, but they're not prepared to ask these what if questions, the tough questions. They still hang on to the comfort zone. But I guarantee if you step outside of that comfort zone, you start asking what if, and you start pulling this thing apart, you realize actually there's an amazing lifestyle out there. I've gone and done this. I've gone and lived this, and there's been ups and downs, and I have to admit it hasn't all been good. But would I ever trade the last 5 years for living in one place and spending that money on improving my house or getting a better car? Absolutely not. Because I spent that money and that time on experiences, and those experiences will last forever. A car will rust, and I tell you, they do rust. I had a very nice Mercedes and it rusted. You don't expect to buy an S-Class Mercedes and the whole thing to rust, but it does. So what's the point? The thing gets scratched. The thing gets bumped by other people in the car park, right? What's the point of that? You just buy something expensive and you spend your whole life worrying about it and protecting it. But if you can free yourself from this, what could you achieve? You could spend that time and that mental space that you would have been worrying about a car or a house or your neighbors on things that really matter. And that is the key to liberation, my friends. So that is, in a nutshell, the 4 key messages in the 4-hour work week. Define, eliminate, automate. And I've got that the wrong way round. Define, eliminate, automate, liberate. Sorry, I did get it right. So if you hadn't read this book, absolutely go out and read it. If you have read it, it's time to go back and review it, because I read this book when it first came out years ago, and I've reviewed it and re-reviewed it many times, and it never fails to open up a new idea for me. and keep thinking about those lessons and keep thinking of how you can improve this stuff. And by the way, if you haven't taken this course, I've got a free course on up.school. If you're interested in books, here are 5 books that can help you become a better entrepreneur. Tim Ferriss's book in there, not the 4-Hour Workweek, but his latest one, Tools of Titans, as well as a whole bunch of other books as well. I thoroughly recommend this because, absolutely, a book can change your life, and it absolutely will. I mean, books are the best investment of all. And I talked about investing in assets and real estate, but books are the most effective investments that you can make as an entrepreneur. I think it's a Mark Twain quote. He said that, if you don't improve your life by reading, then, you're no better than the guy that can't read. So all that education, all that knowledge, and if you're not reading and you're not focused on improving yourself, then you're completely wasting an opportunity. And I don't care. I know people say to me, oh yeah, I go and I read on blogs. Blogs are not books, right? And I absolutely prefer to get a physical book. I know it's old fashioned, but there's something about sitting there and having the complete focus, being in that zone with that book and not being distracted by an alert or a message or some Facebook notification coming in on your tablet or whatever. Analog books. Well, whether you choose analog as digital is your choice. But the point is read. Make time for reading. Make time for improving yourself. So if there's one thing to take away from today, whether or not you read the 4-Hour Workweek, and I absolutely recommend that you do, what I suggest is that make time for reading. An hour a day. Read every day and make it a habit. And if you don't have time, take my course because I summarize all these books for you. So what I'm going to do now is share with you some resources at the end in finishing up today. Thank you very much for joining me on this webinar. If you want to get the video from today, I'm going to put it on the Entrepreneur Upgrade course. There's the link. I'm going to share this link at the end as well, so you've got a copy of it. Plus the presentation files. I'm giving that away free anyway to all the people that watch this webinar. And the worksheets. So those Dreamline worksheets, if you want a copy of those Dreamline worksheets, you can go and get them from my platform. You can also get them from Tim Ferriss's website, absolutely free. There's no obligation to get them from my paid course, but they're just there for you for convenience. So that's $147 of content, 16 weeks of lessons on the Entrepreneur Upgrade. 1 week like this, the 4-Hour Workweek, every week. A lesson that will make you become a better entrepreneur. Video, presentation, plus worksheets. It's $147, but for the rest of this month, which I think there's only about a week left now, there's a promotion. If you use the coupon code MARCH47, MAR47, you can get $100 off that course on my platform. So you get it for $47 rather than $147. So $47, that's like $3 a week. And one of those lessons can make you a better entrepreneur. Even if just one made you, that's a good investment of time. But what I've worked hard on is picking out the best lessons from my 20 years of experience of being an investor and an entrepreneur and a mentor to entrepreneurs, investor in startups, every week trying to deliver my best lesson that can help you grow as an entrepreneur. So, you can avoid the mistakes that I made over the last 20 years and really accelerate yourself up that learning curve. And all those books that I've read, there's thousands of books that I've read to make me a better entrepreneur, distill some of that information down and share that with you on the Entrepreneur Upgrade course. All for, just for the rest of March, $47. How about that? And if you remember already, go and get this content. It's there. Here's the link for you. Next week, more. We're continuing on the theme of freedom for entrepreneurs. I want to share a book with you, which now we're going down this track of automation, outsourcing, how to outsource your business. This is Virtual Freedom by Chris Ducker. The strapline for this book is how to buy more time, become more productive, and build your dream business. And the key here is buying time. We as lifestyle entrepreneurs value our time more than anything else. That is what it's all about. Choice and time. So how do you get more of it without, as I said, sleeping less? How do you do it in a way which doesn't affect your health and sanity and makes you happier, right? And one of the keys to this is to outsource. So Tim Ferriss talks about outsourcing in his book, 4 Hour Workweek. But I think, he doesn't go into a lot of detail about outsourcing as much as Chris Ducker does in this book, Virtual Freedom. So that is here on YouTube next week. And here is the link. So all the links that I shared with you today, you can get them here. upschool.io/P. So I'll put that in red. P for page /4 Hour Workweek 4HWW. Go to that page. You can go there right here, right now. And what you can do is you can download the presentation from today, for this video, for free. So you can take away your notes. You don't have to pay me a penny. Absolutely free. My gift to you. Because I think if you can use some of this information in your business and make yourself a better entrepreneur, it makes a better world for everybody, right? And if you can then join me on that venture, we join each other on this adventure of becoming better entrepreneurs, even better. Go and download the presentation. If you're a Entrepreneur Upgrade member, you can get access to the extra resources, the video, and the worksheet, the Dreamline worksheets are there for you. If you're not an Entrepreneur Upgrade member, this link will contain the coupon which you can use to save $100 on that course. And then if you haven't even taken my free course, my free course is there for you on this page. Go to this link and you get access to my free course. And I have those reviews of 5 books. And most of the people that are taking this course have got something out of it, even if it's just one of the book reviews that I share with you. I'm not selling anything in this course, just sharing with you my key lessons from each of these books. Just like today, 5 books that can help you become a better entrepreneur. Go and check it out. You can complete this course in an hour. So if you're not going to read an hour tomorrow or today, go and take that course for free. Read 5 books effectively through me. I summarize it all down for you. And then you may decide, actually, I really like that book that you summarized for me. I might go and buy that, or might go and read a bit more about. Or, if you've read this book already, hopefully my insights will give you an extra angle into that book that maybe you didn't see, or reconfirm a lesson that you've learned already. And also, go to this link because you can get the link to next Wednesday's webinar, which is Virtual Freedom. Let's continue this theme of freedom, because this is what it's all about for us lifestyle entrepreneurs: how to create more freedom, more time, more choice in our lives. So join me next Wednesday the 29th for an update. Hopefully you enjoyed this webinar today. If you enjoyed this webinar, give me a thumbs up in the like thingy down below on YouTube, because that helps other entrepreneurs discover this webinar, this video as well. If it was useful for you, then hit like, because other entrepreneurs may need to find out about this information as well. And if you think it's useful for people that then feel free to share this link. Feel free to share this video with them, because, often it's a friend that introduces an idea to a friend that opens a door in their mind that leads them down an avenue that changes their life, right? That's how we discover these things. So let's help each other in this discovery process. So my name's Graham Brown. This is Up School. Every week, every Wednesday, we are all about the lessons, the key technologies about how to become a better lifestyle entrepreneur. And hopefully I've shared some of those with you today and you enjoyed that. So I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Go and check out this link if you want some more resources. And yes, I do like receiving emails as well. I just want to say, because I've received a couple of emails this week. So, whether you email me through the newsletter on my website, or direct through my website, or respond in the comments to these videos, I do try to respond to everything, and I do enjoy getting your feedback. So feel free to let me know your thoughts on this book if you've read it, or if you're planning to read it, or this webinar in particular. It all helps me create a better service for everybody. I'll see